Today's R&R show is brought to you by Red Mojo Games, publishers of Inferno and the new expansion Inferno 1348. And hello, friends. The band is back together with a very special guest, Cole Werhle. Hi, everybody.
With our band
Hello.
ringleader, Cole.
Woohoo!
We've been practicing. We've been practicing all this time, and we've been waiting. And finally, Cole decided to give us another chance.
I show up for one practice a year.
Yeah.
And it is the most anticipated practice of the year. Friends, thank you so much for joining us. This is the R&R Show, episode 110, and this is our 10 most anticipated games of 2026. So, as we mentioned offline right before we jumped on here, Cole, it seems like this is a yearly thing now. It's our second year in a row, so thank you so much again for joining us today.
It's my pleasure. I can be relied upon to have opinions about the coming year at the start of the year, and maybe not much more.
That's pretty impressive. I can't always be relied upon to have those opinions. So.
You know what else is impressive, friends? We've got a sponsor, Red Mojo Games. We're going to take a look at what they've got in store for us right now.
They're rats.
Much more historically accurate, thank God. I would have been very upset.
Okay, and there we go.
Wait, tell me. Was my mic on for that?
No,
I think it was.
I
think it was. But I think they are rats.
They are rats. They are the rats in the new expansion. For Ray's just cracking up. I love it. We got Ray. This is.
It was a genuine question. I couldn't tell if they were rats or squirrels, and thank God they're rats.
Yeah, they are rats.
The rats at the time.
Yeah. This new expansion for Inferno, it's 1348, and it's the Great Pestilence expansion. So yes, these are the rats that Dante will drive away in his journey down to the 9 Circles of Hell. So this is a soul management game, and the expansion is going to be out real soon from GameFound. So be sure to check that out. Thanks to our sponsors at Red Mojo Games.
Yeah, I really like that sort of progression that you can go through on Inferno. I always thought that looked really cool when I was seeing the initial campaign, and it's exciting to see this new campaign with, it looked like Rahdo on the cover.
No. I was gonna get there. I got thrown off by the hot mic situation.
Well, that's just a unique original thought that came from me and not from our group chat. If you got a little chuckle out of that, remember it's Chris George.
It came from Chris. I thought about saying it when we first opened, and I was trying to be respectful to our guest Cole, who wouldn't understand why I was screaming about something that hadn't been shown on screen yet. Whatever. It looks like Rahdo though, and I think that's funny.
Yeah. So friends, be sure to check out that cover for a Rahdo.
You needed another reason to get it.
Yeah.
Well, we just mentioned our guest, Cole, and folks, Cole Werhle from Werhle Games and also formerly of LEDA, but Cole, you're on to a new adventure these days. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So, it's a whole new adventure. But with some of the people who I just adore working with, it's been a really kind of amazing thing. So we have launched a new game company. Myself and Kyle Farron left LEDA Games, and we're able to purchase Oath and Arcs. So we get to keep supporting these games that we just absolutely love to death, as well as work on new stuff together. And as part of that, we have brought along some of the folks at LEDA Games who wanted to keep doing titles like this. This include our amazing graphic design team, Josh Yearsley, who's one of the best editors in the business, and my dear brother, who is going to be joining the new venture, and we're going to be folding in some of Whirligig as part of this new company. I'm so excited about this for lots of reasons, but one of the biggest reasons is that it's allowing us to finally help both ventures. So when I was working at LEDA, there'd always be this funny thing happening where Drew and I would be working away on the weekends and in the evenings, trying to stay afloat. And then I would come to work and I'd be like, there's all this extra work. Like there are folks here who want to be busier. And I thought, well, maybe it's possible to kind of reorganize the little business side around these games. And Patrick was very receptive to it, and we found a really good deal that worked for everybody. So it's been a very amicable separation. I'm going to be, of course, very sad to miss working with people like Liz. But I live down the street from the Leader Games offices. I still have lunch with these people, so it's not, there's no estrangement involved. And it's been really nice to it's been really nice to look forward to the next few years of games, and to allow ourselves to like control so much of how they're going to like look and feel. I mean, one of the things that when I was going through this and talking to a dear friend and mentor, he said, like, look, you only get a few moments of like genuine founding in your life, like a moment where something is where you're at the start of something. And if you love the team that you're with, I mean, really treasure this moment. And he had sent me that message when I was really unsure how it was all going to go. And then just day after day of working with this amazing team, the truth of that statement was born over and over again. Like, it is remarkable. And I'm so delighted that I get to keep working with these people who I just adore.
Nice.
That's great.
Amazing. I love it. And I'm excited for you as well, Cole. I'm excited to see what's coming down the stretch here in the near future. So congratulations.
Yeah, so you're going to reveal on stream the 5-year plan of every single game that that Bird Giant is coming out with. Is that right? Did I hear that right? I wasn't...
5-year plan meeting. If you would have caught me 10 minutes earlier on the stream, I would have had all the PDFs open.
So close.
Our first project will launch this spring, though. So we are finishing we're finishing our Oath expansion right now. That'll be at the press soon. And then we have the next suite of Arcs expansions that will be coming to Kickstarter, hopefully sometime this spring. And they're awesome. And like when we designed Arcs, we had built room for more plot lines, more leaders. We have a bunch of things in store, but we ran out of time. It was already this massive project. And so after we finished the game, everyone was very tired. I said, let's spend an extra month working on this, get all these expansions underway, and then we'll just put them in a box. And it was so lovely after as we were winding up the work on the Oath expansion, opening up that box and being like, oh, we actually did a ton of work on these Arcs expansions. They're kind of ready to go.
Nice.
And every morning I get to wake up and look at my Slack and see a bunch of art that Kyle posted, and I cannot wait to share it with you all. I mean, pretty soon, just a few months.
Nice.
Is in that box the Arcs digital, and you're gonna give it to me right now, please?
Oh my gosh. I just talked to Direwolf. They are hard at work on it.
Oh yay! I'm so excited.
Busy.
So I need it now.
It'll be sometime this year for sure. That they're still trying to figure out exactly when. And they did such a good job with the Root Digital that I just have full trust and faith in them. I'm like, you take as long as you want. You do the right thing. One of my favorite things about our just the way that everyone at Buried Giant does business is that we're interested in supporting these games like over a 5-year term, over a 10-year term. And so if a digital adaptation takes a few months extra, I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so exciting.
That is exciting. You heard it here first, folks, from Buried Giant Studios. Very, very exciting news. Chris or Ray, any other questions we have for Cole?
I want to talk about the mascot for Buried Giant. I feel like there has to be lore there. There's no way there's not lore there, and I don't know if it's lore you're willing to share, but I'm curious who that man is and why is he buried?
It's a buried giant.
Naming things is hard. I mean, Ray, I think everyone in this
I've never named anything in my life. I wouldn't know.
Yeah, it's tough. I have all of these. My wife and I, we always assemble these like photo books each year, and the one for December has a whole page of like Kyle and myself standing at whiteboards, like writing names that we didn't pick because it just felt omnipresent. Like we could do nothing but like stew on these names. So I love names that have lots of different meanings, lots of different valences and ways in. And with Buried Giant, there were kind of like two things. I mean, we wanted a name that felt like we were introducing an old friend, because this is a company made up of people who have been working professionally in the industry for upwards of 10 years. So we aren't trying to be disruptive or new. Like we're actually trying to introduce something that feels like it's been there the whole time. And I got to present at this amazing archaeology conference in Leiden last year. And I was hanging out with all these archaeologists who I'd never spent any time with archaeologists, and they were so fascinating. And I did this workshop on ancient games, and I was thinking about how, when you work in archaeology, you like find something very small, like a little piece, a little fragment of a piece of pottery. And if you keep extrapolating from it, you find these huge things, trade routes and poetry and all these elements. I thought, like, board games are like that because they're these small objects that are just buried, but they're not inert, they're alive. And so we just thought, like, the image of a buried giant seems so powerful to us, that like these games are these small physical objects. You can see just the tip of them, but they're these huge living underground things. And that's through the community, through all the depth that you find in studying them over a long term. So it just felt right. It also, it's also a card in Oath that is a card that is much beloved by us.
Okay.
So it's all those things and more.
That's so cool.
And the mascot's name is Barry.
Well, when we were sorting through the details of the deal, I think everyone was, of course, feeling a little nervous. I mean, these are big, important decisions. And Kyle was like, I just need to draw something. And so we had the name of the title, and I didn't expect him to do a huge art piece, but that was just the form that his that his feelings took. And I mean, it's one of the best pieces that he's done. We do on our Barry Giant Discord, we have a really nice bot that you can ask rules questions and get you can get citations from games, and the bot's name is Barry.
That's so useful.
Oh, okay.
That's actually that's really good to know.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's so evocative. I feel like you really hit that on the head with like something that feels like it's always been there, because you and Kyle as a duo is so familiar, right? I like that concept that you've been together underneath the surface the whole time. That's really beautiful. Really cool.
Yeah.
And I mean, and I'll say that that's true of the whole team too. Like Ted Kaya, for instance, who's our executive operations director. I don't know. We don't have titles yet properly, but he's in charge of the money. And he's someone who I've worked with for just years and years, and I really adore working with Ted and pretty much everyone on staff. It was like this is a great team, and we have all worked on lots of games together. So we're excited about the next set.
Awesome,
amazing.
That's so cool.
Barry Giant, folks. So BarryGiantStudios.com, friends. Be sure to follow Cole and the team there. It's been a while since we've done the show. I just realized it's been months.
It's been months.
Yeah. Chris,
Ray, what's been up with you?
Yeah,
what's up at the op?
Oh, we're hanging out. I'm getting ready to go on a trip next week. You guys caught me right before I flee the country for a little bit, which I'm very excited for. I'm going to the Azores, the islands off of Portugal for a little bit. Yeah, I'm very excited. I'm renting a little Fiat Panda, and I'm just going to putt around for a little bit and go on some hikes. So I'm very excited for that. Yeah.
Very cool.
How about you, Chris? What's been going on in your life?
Just been refocusing on room and board. I finished doing A Christmas Carol over the Christmas holiday season, and I've got some other theater contracts lined up for the summer and into November, which is great. And then in terms of board gaming, I'll be at Dice Tower West. If anybody's at Dice Tower West, come hang out with me, because I'm going to go there running a thing for WSBG, the World Series of Board Gaming, which you can win a ticket, a full stay and play, hotel and whatever, if you win the little mini tournament that we're having there. And then I'll also hopefully be at KublaCon in San Francisco, doing another WSBG thing there as well. Which is great. Yeah, just bouncing around. And I'll be at BreakoutCon in Toronto, which is my hometown. BreakoutCon, also doing another like little thing there too. So I got a lot of little board game things leading up to then doing some shows in Nova Scotia, maybe producing a small show that my friends and I have wanted to do, to be like slot right in between one contract and the other contract. So lots of theater stuff coming up for me, which I'm stoked about. And Bloody Lion said, "What's that creepy doll behind Chris?" They can't have seen a different doll. There's not that I have a doll off stage. Are you talking about this? Are you talking about this?
Yes.
This is the professor. This is the professor from Money Heist. Have you guys watched Money Heist?
Okay.
It's so cool. And so a cherished individual gave me this as a present because we were watching Money Heist together. And it's so friggin' sick. This is where the professor has to dress up as a clown and infiltrate like a hospital where there's a bunch of security agents there, so he like sets a whole bunch of clowns on the hospital so he can sneak in and
Wow.
see if somebody's
Never
woken up
seen
who can
Money
ID
Heist.
him.
Would
Me
not
neither.
have expected any parts of that description.
It's awesome. Money Heist is so good. It's so good. Like,
I will take your word for it.
oh, if you like heists, if you like anything that's like heist
Okay.
movie related, season 1 and 2 of Money Heist are like peak. And then the seasons after that are also very good, but not as like incredible as the first 2 seasons are incredible. They're so good.
Nice.
Yeah. Trust me. Go watch it, and
There's your recommendation, folks.
And you're gonna come back, and you're gonna say, "Yes, Chris, you know," and you're welcome for all the joy that I'm about to provide you.
Thank you, Chris.
Me personally, not the team behind the creation of this TV show.
Chris brings all the joy here, friends. You know, I just realized, Chris, the last time I saw you was in Vegas for the World Series of Board Gaming. Back in September, and I actually played in the Splendor ring game, and I got to tell you, I got absolutely demolished by this Italian gentleman who crushed our table. He was at 15 points before the other players and I had gotten to 5 points, and he was amazing. He actually made it to the final table, didn't win, but it opened my eyes up to Splendor strategy, which I apparently know nothing about because he was amazing.
Ignore level 1. That's the Splendor strategy.
Yeah.
Never get level 1 cards.
Yeah.
If you want to win Splendor, that's how you do it.
When he reserved those top 3 level 3 cards on his first 3 turns, I was like, oh, okay, this is played a little differently than I usually play at home. But
yeah,
fun times. Okay. Why don't we move right along to what we're here for, folks? We are here for the top 10 most anticipated games of 2026. Before we move into our picks, anyone want to talk about how they approach this? Me personally, I just looked at a bunch of different lists on BGG, and also some friends who had posted either videos or articles about this, and I just sort of scanned through that, and then I went to BGG and just looked at the games that are coming out this year, and that's how I came up with my list. Chris, Ray, or Cole, any other thoughts?
I immediately had 2 or 3 or 4, and it's the top 2 that we each are going to get 2 to talk about in this top 10, because Richard's also going to have his, and so those 2 were sort of immediates. I don't even know if my first one that I'm going to talk about is officially 2026, like it's going to come out in 2026, or maybe it'll come out in 27, but I don't care because I'm so excited about it that I want to talk about it. And then I'm very excited to talk about my number 1, because nobody knows it's coming out.
Nice.
No one.
Exciting.
Not a single person. This is breaking news. It's not even on BGG yet, but I got express permission from Capstone to talk about it. So yeah.
All right.
There's a little teaser trailer for you.
What? I just stared at BGG and cried for hours. That's what I did. I just communed with the list.
Yeah.
No, truly, like I kept scrolling through there and finding games that looked so cool, and then there was like 2 sentences and maybe a cover, and I'm like, that's not enough. It's not enough to talk about. Like, I really wanted to like go deep and find something like really underground, but the problem is that if it's underground and it's not published yet, there's nothing about it.
Right. Yep.
So I found lots of stuff. I'm like, that sounds really promising. I can say 1 sentence about it, and it's the sentence that's on BGG and nothing else, because there's no videos, there's no photos, there's no rule books. So yeah, just lots of tears, but I'm excited about the 2 that I picked.
20.
Yeah. Nice.
This was hard because I think that we're gonna have a really strong year. There are a lot of great games coming out, and I tried to like scry what I thought y'all would pick and make sure I was covering something like a different corner. So I'm sure I have lots of comments about some of the ones that y'all picked, but I wanted to pick titles that had things that were outside of the game that also made them worth thinking about, even if you weren't going to play the game.
Oh, nice. Cool.
Love it.
That's a classic Cole Werhle pick.
Yeah, sorry.
that's why you're on this one. That's why it's just so all 3 of us can sit and listen and just fall more in love with you than we already are.
It's about the games you don't play.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so without further ado, let's kick things off. We're going to go with Chris for our number 10 today.
We're starting with me with number 10. Number 10 is going to be launching on GameFound in a few weeks, and that's why I'm not sure if it's going to like fulfill at the end of it or not, because you never know with those sort of timelines. I didn't even look up on BGG if it's listed as 2026, and I didn't care because there wasn't any way that I wasn't going to talk about Brass Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Brass Pittsburgh is going to be so good. it's gonna be so good. Like I really really enjoy Brass Birmingham. I think it's fantastic. I've had a lot of time with Brass Birmingham because it is in the World Series of Board Gaming, and I have had a chance to delve deeper into the strategy. I've gotten to watch so many high level people play this game. I've gotten to learn so much about the strategy of this game, and then even just talking with designers, I've gotten to interview like Martin Wallace about it, and then Gavin Brown and Adam Wise. We just did we did the coverage of the ring final of Brass Birmingham for the World Series of Board Gaming. Gotten to watch that and talk about this and talk a little bit about Pittsburgh's development during that, and it just got me so stoked. The way that they are approaching this as a design space, I think, is awesome. And if you go through on their game found and you read their design diaries as well, you can see the care at which they're trying to even shift things to make it both more modular, more strategic, and more accessible to people as well. I think some of that is really cool because, like in Brass Birmingham, nobody understands how coal works, right? The COAL of coal, because it has to be connected to a market, and then iron doesn't have to be connected to a market, and there's all sort of these restrictions, and that is the number one learning hurdle that I've seen every person who I've taught brass to that they get hung up with, right? Like it's how do these rails get put down so that you access a network. And so in Birmingham, they're kind of doing away with that, but they're still keeping the modular pricing by being attached to different markets. So a market will have like a cheaper coal value. And if you're attached to it there, then you can get in on that coal value. You can always purchase whatever you need from this one guy, Vanderbilt or something. The Vanderbilt company will deliver it right to your door, but it's going to cost you a lot of money. And so then the question becomes, okay, how do I navigate these routes, and how do I set myself up in this direction, which I think is really neat. Another thing that I'm so stoked about the implications of are the heavy trains. So just like Brass Birmingham, there's going to be two phases, two eras. There's going to be the first era, and then you wipe everything off the board, and only like your level 2 buildings stay. But your links, which normally could never stay between the Canal era and the Iron Age, have the potential to stay. And then that also unlocks so much potential of how do you build your board in preparation, in setting up for the next turn, right? The next era. And these heavy trains are also can have specialties to them. It could double the points on links, but now they've also incorporated different buildings where if you see people have huge point links, you can specifically drop down buildings that don't give link points. And so there's a lot of like interplay that they're talking about where you can shift things up. Because before, in Brass Birmingham, there's a couple spots where you're like, okay, I dropped those 2 links touching Exeter, and I'm going to get 6 points out of each one of them. Yeah, at the very least.
Sure.
And it's just kind of guaranteed. But in this, I think like opening up that as flexibility is going to be very, very exciting. Which I'm friggin' stoked about. And then they've also gotten rid of the scouting action, which provided flexibility for people if you had like a bad hand with, poor mitigation, and you needed to get into a spot and you just didn't draw the cards. You could spend a turn essentially for a wild card to go wherever you want. And now they've incorporated that with like, again, an easier way of doing it. They just have like these whiskey tokens, which then you can turn any card in your hand into a wild. And so just like these little tweaks that seem insignificant, they don't seem insignificant, but like I can see the ripple effects of how they're going to work out, and I can see the emphasis on making it easier to learn, but still managing to keep that depth of complexity. I am so stoked for this game. I think it is going to be so good. If you love Birmingham, I just think this is going to be the next iteration. And Brass Birmingham is ranked as the #1 game on Board Game Geek as of this filming. And with like all of these proposed tweaks, I don't see how Pittsburgh doesn't become a better game than Birmingham right now. I just think the way that they're approaching the design space, they've had such great write-ups in their updates leading up to the campaign to like tell people how these things are shifting, and it's going to be the same core elements of the game, but like tweak here, tweak here, tweak here, tweak here. I just think it's gonna be awesome, and I can't wait to try it out. Yeah, Bloody Lion. I don't know if it has rats. I do hear that makes things historically accurate. That is true. Like our good friends over at Inferno with Rahdo on the cover. Make sure you check that out. Thanks again to them for sponsoring the video. But yeah, I think it's great.
Yeah.
The question is, how has somebody made a comprehensive change list for the updates between Birmingham and Pittsburgh? If you go, my favorite update, I have it up to reference it, is update number 7, the developer deep dive. I think Adam wrote that.
Okay.
And he goes through and really brings in a lot of these changes that I'm talking about. So if you want to just read one update, go check out update number 7 on their Game Found. I think it's, yeah, I'm so stoked.
Yeah.
Like, I love Brass. I think it's, I think Brass is just like a beautifully created game, and all the things that they're doing just makes me excited. So I don't care if it's out in 2026. Their campaign's happening in 2026, and I'm just going to assume that it's going to drop at the end.
Your excitement is in 2026.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
Yeah.
By 2027, I'll have forgotten all about it.
Yeah, Chris, I'm with you. This was actually on my list as well.
I am also so excited about this game.
Yeah.
It's
I like the fact that it's it's still keeping the brass feel and the complexity, but also streamlining a couple of things. I feel like, and I'm one of those guys that always forgets, does beer teleport or not? Beer is the thing that always throws me off in Brass Birmingham. But I like the fact that also, well, you mentioned the wild card or using
now it's oil. It's
Yeah.
going to be more oil, and there's going to be like spots on the board that you can touch it. Players don't have to build that beer or that oil anymore.
Awesome.
But there'll be like spots there.
Cool.
I will say,
I will say they eliminated Fort Wayne from the map. Which I grew up in Fort Wayne, but they had the courage to tell everyone they were eliminating it, because if they wouldn't have said anything, nobody would have noticed. So I can respect that too.
Definitely respect.
That's amazing.
Nice. Great choice, Chris. Yeah, definitely looking forward to Brass Pittsburgh. Will it be out this year? We're gonna find out. We'll blame Chris if it's not out this year, but we all share.
Yeah, that's fair. You can blame me. I will take full responsibility. I will be in the sea pushing the boat myself. But if I get tired, it's a big boat and it's a long way to push it.
Nice. Okay, let's move right along. I'll take the next one. This is our collective number 9, and I got to play a prototype of this last year or last Gen Con, and also an early production copy later on in the year. It's from Druid City Games. It's a roll and write game called Off With Their Heads. Now this one is based in the Wonderland's War world, so we have Alice and all the different creatures. What really appealed to me about this one, so I love roll and writes, but they can be sort of samey, right? Let's just be straight up. You roll, you fill out your sheet. But what I love about what I love about this, it takes trick taking and incorporates it in to right there where everyone plays a card, and depending on who wins the trick, they're going to go first, and then the next player will go second, and then there's also someone's going to go third, but there's a dummy player as well that's going to sneak in there and sort of mess you up. Whoever wins the trick gets to write on their score sheet where they want to. They will select, and then the second, third, and fourth players, they're going to have to score their write on their score sheet, whether it's in the middle or the bottom, depending on where you finish in the rankings. So that's a really interesting thing, to me, a true interactive roll and write. So you are playing your cards. If you play the lowest card, you're going to score on the lowest part of the scoreboard or your score sheet. In the middle there, as you see here on screen. And I really like that. So like other roll and writes I enjoy, it's a lot of combos. So it's very combo-tastic, as I like to say. So you're going to combo from one part of the sheet to another. What's really cool too, I really love the trick taking element of this, but what's really neat, so you have, I think it's 7 cards, you're going to play 5 rounds, you're going to keep a couple of cards. After 3 rounds, you will have, I think it's 6 cards, and you're going to make your best 5 poker hand. So that poker hand is going to score you more points as well. So it's sort of this thing, do I really want to win this trick or not? Or maybe I want to go hard on, go for this part of the score sheet, because I have these really good cards, or I can lose tricks on purpose in order to score on the bottom part of the sheet. And of course, on each part of the sheet, the 3 different parts, you can combo into upper, lower, or middle parts. There's a lot going on here for a roll and write, which I really love, but it's not quite as like heavy as like a Twilight Inscription or a Hadrian's Wall, but it's definitely not as light as like a Welcome to. I think it hits that middle ground like perfectly, and that's why I'm really excited about it, because there was a lot more player interaction in this game than I expected, and the demos that I've had, we had a great time. So that's what I'm really looking forward to this year. Off with their heads from Druid City Games.
And I think that's arriving to people like nowish. I have some friends who got it and were like, "Oh, it just arrived."
Oh,
so,
it's right. Okay, cool, awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. So, folks, I'm really excited to get my copy at some point this year. So, unlike Brass Pittsburgh, we do know that this game is out right now, Chris.
Yeah, just like Brass Pittsburgh, it's out in 2026.
Yeah, that trick-taking poker hand mechanic is really interesting. I actually forgot it was a roll and write halfway through you were describing it, and then you tied it back, and I was like, oh yeah, like it didn't sound like one when you were describing the meat of it, which was cool. Because I feel similarly about roll and writes, where I'm like, at some point it starts to feel a little point salad-y of like, I don't know. It's also just I like material in board. Like I like the ritual of like holding the parts and everything, and sometimes roll and writes lose that for me.
Yes.
But this sounded like it had a lot of meat, and like you said, it's a good middle weight. It's not as insane as like a Hadrian's Wall, but very cool.
Yeah, really excited. It's the player interaction that did it for me, because I've demoed it twice, and both times there's a couple of moments where everyone's like, "Oh darn it, why did you play low when I played high?" or vice versa. And you know, I don't really get that in roll and write, so it's like huge, like, "Oh, you know, you screwed me out of this." But and that's what really appealed to me, that player interaction in Off with Their Heads.
Totally
cool. Awesome. All right. Moving right along. Ray, I believe you've got our number 8.
Yeah. And real quick before I do my number 8, thanks BGG TV for the raid. Appreciate it. Welcome on in, friends. We are talking about our most anticipated games of the new year. And speaking of which, I'm going to talk about number 8, which is a new Elizabeth Hargrave game called Sanibel, which is a really cute little game where you are walking along the beach and you are collecting shells. One of the things that stood out to me about this was the accessibility of it seemed really like at a really good level. It's got a Takedo style movement, which I always love, where you're walking along the beach and you take a turn when you're in last place, and you can move as far along the shore as you'd like to, which I think is a really fun mechanic to teach new players, right? Because you kind of have to intuit and you have to learn. It's kind of that built-in strategy learning. Like, I can't tell you the right or wrong answer for how far you should move. And I like games that force new players to kind of think like that a little bit. So it's got that along the edges, and then you're collecting shells depending on where you stop and how many, what number of footprint you step on. And that tells you how many shells you get from that section. And then my second favorite mechanic, generally speaking, is spatial reasoning, any sort of spatial puzzle, and this has got that as well, where you're collecting these hexagon style shells kind of, and then you're dropping them down into your bag, but they fall in like a Tetris type pattern, so they're going to fall from the top down, and you can accidentally or intentionally leave some gaps in your bag. And of course, all the different types of shells are going to have different scoring mechanisms, where some want to be clumped, some want to be spread out, so you have to sort of think about what shapes you drop where in your bag to make this little Tetris style scoring block. And yeah, that's what I understand about this game. I haven't played it yet, obviously, but I liked it. I thought, I'm always interested, whatever Elizabeth Hargrave comes out with, I am always paying attention to it. And I believe, if I remember correctly, she said she made this game like for her father. She wanted to make a game for him that he could play. He used to love collecting seashells, and this was a weight that he could, like a game weight that was approachable for him, which I mention this all the time on the show. I'm constantly teaching new players how to play board games. I'm always looking for good, interesting, lightweight strategy games. And yeah, this is Sanibel. I'm really excited for it.
I love that idea of the pieces falling and stacking. It's such a nice way to complicate a drafting game.
Exactly. Yeah, totally. It takes that sort of tile placement, like those other sorts of like entry weight games. You think of like a Cascadia or whatever, like tile placement, and that physicality of dropping it down, I feel like also takes a little bit of the analysis paralysis out of it, because you can only put them so many places, but it's dynamic and it changes, and everybody's played Tetris. You can imagine how that works. Like, yeah, I think it sounds great.
Yeah, I think that's the highlight of the design for me as well
Yeah.
too. That's what makes me intrigued about it. I'm the opposite of you, Ray. I dislike
You hate the Takedo
Takedo,
movement?
the patchwork.
I think it's interesting. I like it.
I hate it so much.
Why?
I think it's just because it's just like, oh, I get one choice. I get maybe a second choice.
This is a guy who wants to buy oil and
You can
whiskey.
go anywhere on the board. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
You literally can go anywhere.
Oh yeah, okay.
You
I'll
might
go to
have
the end, and I'll
consequences.
go make a coffee. And I don't even drink coffee. And now this game's making me drink coffee. Oh, I can't believe it.
Yeah, I'm excited about this one as well. Elizabeth Hargrave always puts out games that I really enjoy. Yeah, so this one looks cool. Okay. All right, are you done, Chris? You're good, right?
I'm just getting started.
Okay, well, let's hand it over to our guest, Cole, with our collective number 7 today.
So I have been looking forward to this game for a long time, and it is Earthborn Games' Hubworld Aidalon, or Aidalon. I think they want us to say Aidalon, but I've got Aidalon on my mind.
Yeah.
This game was crowdfunded, I believe last year, and is now like in kind of final production. I know they're getting art, and they're kind of doing all of like the little work. I think it comes out this year. I'll put it in the same brass category, I'm hoping. And there are lots of reasons to like adore and get interested in this game. So first of all, ever since Fantasy Flight stopped publishing Netrunner, people in the living card game and collectible card game community have been trying to like mourn its loss, capture that lightning, find something to fill the Netrunner shaped hole in their hard drives. And the problem with them is even when they're really good, they're like a little too reverent. They're like a little too like trying to capture what it was like when you were 23 going to a board game cafe and playing Netrunner. And Hubworld is the first one I played that felt like it actually asks like what actually made Netrunner really compelling, and is there a way that we can actually use it as a springboard to do something even more interesting? And so it has really cool deck construction dynamics, this really interesting like spatial element. It feels way heistier. So if you're into heists, I'm going to second heist mention of the show.
Now you're speaking.
If you're a heist fan, there's like a lot of like really good bluffing. I joked with someone that it's like it's all Genteki all the time when you're playing Hubworld. And then that is coupled with this incredible presentation. It has this like wonderful like solar punk art style that is just like gorgeous, like watercolors, and a really like well realized world. So those are all reasons to like go get a copy of Hubworld and play it. But the other thing that I think is lovely about it is Hubworld is the second game by Earthborn Games, which is one of the most interesting game companies operating. And this is a company of ex-Fantasy Flight employees who were able to like pick up their bags, walk across town, form a new studio where you can see them like reacting to the things that they like maybe didn't agree with the FFG and kind of coming into their own path. And they are an amazing group of people. I mean, these are folks that I like know because they're neighbors and friends, because we all live in the same city. But their whole approach to like how you run a game company is really wonderful. And it's wonderful, like the level of, like kind of the backside like business stuff, but also just in how they comport themselves. Their podcast is lovely. Like if they're a great follow if you're just interested in how games get made, because they oscillate between doing live plays and like design streams. And their design podcast, to listen to these folks like talk about a card in Earthborn, I mean, they are not filtering anything. I mean, it sounds to me just like the sorts of design meetings you have with a dev team when you really care about what you're working on. So if you've ever been interested in like how a living card game is built, you should absolutely take a look at what Earthborn Games is doing, even if you have no interest in like playing Hubworld, because it's a lovely community that's being cultivated and just a great set of folks.
Wow.
Cool. Yeah,
That-
I always feel like with I have like a love-hate with like living card games, I find, because like I'm super cheap, and so
Sure.
I feel like living card games are certainly better than trading card games, right? Like because you have sets and you have like sort of standalone sets. But I'm always worried about my own addictive tendencies
Yeah.
to get sucked into a world and know that I will want to like buy and buy and buy and buy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do remember with I say Aidalon too. But when it was on crowdfunding and seeing the comparisons to Netrunner and the little tweaks that they've been making was felt like a real like one of the best one-to-one recreations, so to speak. Not a recreation, but like an inspiration, right?
Mhm.
Well, and like an amazing thing, I think I even talked about Earthborn like maybe a couple years ago on the show, and
I think so,
it was fun to talk about it because Earthborn like had a good campaign, came out, and then it was really like after people had played it, where everyone's like, "Wait a second, are we sleeping on like what might have been the best card game that came out last year?" And I feel like Hubworld, I like Hubworld more than Earthborn, and so it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Nice. Yeah, Earthborn really did have that like resurgence, right? Like, yeah, it had a fine first campaign, and then I didn't hear buzz about it during the campaign. I heard about it like when it was hitting shelves or when it was at conventions, and then it was getting sold out immediately. And people were running to the booths to get Earthborn. Like I do remember that. It's like a fervor that was grasping people.
True. Yeah. Yeah, it was like that word of mouth, right? That buzz just got everyone so fired up about that. And yeah, I'm excited to try this one as well. I wasn't a Netrunner player, but just the passion of the Netrunner community is just amazing. And I know folks that are into it, and they've tried to get me into it, but I haven't taken the dive yet. But I feel like this one looks really, really awesome. So thank you, Cole.
Yeah, I've had a similar experience. I've never played Netrunner, and every time it's been brought up near me or around me, it always does feel like the back alley. Someone's like, "Have you tried?" Like they always have this intense energy about them, and it's always not. I wouldn't say off-putting. That's too strong, but I've always been like, "That's great. You're scaring me, and you have a great time with that game that I don't understand."
Yeah.
So this feels like a cool.
It's like best if there's like a group that wants to do
and
it
that's
together.
so intimidating. That's a bad start for me. I can't be approached by a group. That's not good.
Then you don't have one person in a back alley; it's a whole gang,
right? They're always a cluster. But this is cool because it feels like it's kind of a new start. I always get intimidated as like not a newer gamer, but I guess a younger gamer, right? Like this was before Netrunner was really before my time, and there's an intimidation of going back into something that some people is so entrenched in their lives. So having kind of a new spiritual successor, which maybe isn't the right term, but something kind of akin to that to start like to jump into that gives a similar experience and arguably maybe better. Is really cool. It allows me to potentially experience that sort of history that otherwise is very intimidating. That I have just every time it gets brought up, I'm like, ooh, that sounds scary.
It's funny that just that passion of that community.
I know, it's awesome. It's like great. It's
amazing.
Like, yeah.
I literally had a friend of mine email me just like
it.
2 days ago about Netrunner. I'm like, dude, okay, cool. Yeah. It's like, wow, still getting emails. It's amazing.
Well, yeah. I think it's probably something to do too with the passion of an out of print style game too. It's like you are the ambassador for Netrunner.
Yeah.
Netrunner lives on through you.
Which
this is your
cool,
Coco moment of that movie of just like that you're the one keeping it going, right? Like, and without you it dies. And so keep talking about Netrunner, because I'm talking to you at home right now. You're the only one left. It is you. You need to go up to Ray.
What people are trying to
Please don't approach
capture is the whole feeling of what it was like to be an into Netrunner, right? So it isn't just like the experience of playing the game. It's like, oh, and then the experience of thinking about the deck while you were working on that job over that summer that you didn't really like, and you were just thinking about Netrunner in your spare time. And you can't really bottle that or package it in any way. I mean, one of the things I thought was really interesting with Hubworld is they did this promotional with Team Covenant where for like shipping or some nominal price, you could just order 2 starter decks. This is like kind of a very common move in this community, is right. Find ways of lowering the cost of entry as low as you can get it. But it was just clear they wanted people to be playing the game. And even those entry decks had like tons of stuff to explore. It's been fun see my kids get into it because we have those little decks, and they really like playing with them. And I'm like, oh, maybe Hubworld's going to be like your game like this.
Nice.
And you don't quite know it yet because the full game hasn't shipped yet.
Awesome.
Yeah, now that you say that, I do remember that being part of the campaign, and loving that as somebody who's really cheap, as somebody who just wants to have like
Famously
that
very
taster
cheap.
experience.
Yep.
Yeah, famous cheap George over here, wanting to have that little experience, right? Like, in that taste, and maybe that's just me wanting to have a little taste of that LCG dealing and then go all in, but that's my own problem. But but just a little bump, just a little taste. But I think that's awesome. Like, I love when companies want to get the game into people's hands and want to provide that experience. And I'm sure it is more expensive to produce and to like get those things out there rather than just doing a one single like SKU and whatever. But I think it's just great. And so I remember really liking that about the campaign, now that you mention it.
All right, cool. So that's Hubworld Aidalon from Earthborn Games. We are going to move on to Richard, who's joined us via the magic of video with our number 6.
God, where's he going to be?
We're going to find out where he is. Richard, take it away.
Hey, everybody. Happy New Year. Welcome, Cole. It's good to see y'all. And it's good to be talking about exciting games that are upcoming. What have we talked about so far? Chris, Brass, Pittsburgh. Yeah, you know what? I'm one of those weirdos who actually prefers Brass Lancashire to Birmingham. But yeah, more Brass is a good thing. It seems like there's some very cool new ideas thrown in the mix. Why not? Ruel, off with their heads. Man, I need to hear what you have to say about this one because it looks nice, and I certainly love the idea of holding cards back to make a poker hand. That was phenomenal in Flip Town, and this seems like a nice enough roll and write or flippin' fill, I suppose, but I need to hear why you are so head over heels excited for it. Ray, Sanibel? Sure. More Elizabeth Hargraves is always a good thing. And then Cole, Hubworld, Aidalon. I mean, obviously the follow-up to Earthborn Rangers is going to be a really big deal. And I'll admit, I used to be a huge Netrunner player back in the day. Jen and I even played a little bit on tournament level. So I have fond memories of it, and this just seems like it's basically Netrunner where both players are the corporation and the runner at the same time. So that is also pretty cool, even if my Care Bear predilection these days means it probably wouldn't be a good fit for me anymore. But once upon a time, 90s era Rahdo probably would have been all over that game. Anyway, so those are all very nice. But now, let's talk about our number 6. Although, actually, before we do, folks, here's the interesting thing about this list for me. I have already done a top 26 most anticipated games for the year. I put that up on January 1st. Had a whole bunch of games to talk about. In that one, 26 is a full-on countdown. There'll be a link for it down in the show notes if you want to check that out after we're done here. And after that, a week or so later, I talked about another 105 games in my monthly Rahdo Ramble. Games and expansions, including 28 games I've already played that are coming out this year, and I ranked them from best to worst. I did a whole bunch. I've already talked about over 130 2026 games. And yet there are still more to talk about because since I have done that original list, I've come up with a whole bunch more. And in fact, I'm going to tell you about 2 in this countdown right now. But then if you jump to the end of this video in the post list portion, I'll give you a quick updated new 10 more most anticipated games. But anyway, for now, here's one new thing I have not talked about in any of those videos previously. It is our combined number 6 Arctica. There's a couple of reasons I'm excited about this one. One is one of the co-designers, Remy Matthew, a few years ago put out a phenomenal game, Ancient Knowledge. I love that little card game to pieces when you add the Heritage expansion, which is an absolute must-have expansion. In fact, I mean, that conveyor belt, card gameplay is so good. It actually made my preliminary top 10 of 2023. I think it's been pushed out now, but even still, an absolutely amazing game. So I'm definitely interested in what Remy has up his sleeve. And so then I heard about this. He's co-designing with Sam's, who I'm not as familiar with his work. But yeah, 160 unique Arctic animals. That's nice. By the way, we're looking at the GameFound page. Here's what we want, though. Folks, Watch this game in action. Oh, I missed the play button. Let me rewind. Oh, and all right. So I've messed it all up. There we go. Spinning wheels. I am always interested in interlocking spinning gears. And that's a very quick preview. Anytime somebody does this, I'm really going to be on board. Zulk in the Mind Calendar is one of the all-time greats, and Windmill Valley made my recent top 10. So I want to see what Remy does with them as well, especially because, the game looks stunning. Look at this board. Look at these wheels where we're locking things in and then letting the passage of time make those actions or resources or whatever they are available to us. I do not really know, but you have me at amazing art. You have me at a phenomenal bit of subject matter. You've got me at a great designer. And yeah, you've got me when you start talking about cool interlocking gears that make the game come to life. Anytime, this is the rarest thing, when board games literally feel alive, like they move on their own. Both Jen and I are drawn in a big way, so I'm very excited about my new one that I missed in those previous, but on this list, it's number 6, Arctica. Okay, back to y'all.
All right. Yeah, this one I saw at Gen Con last year. I didn't get to demo it, but I did see it, and it looks phenomenal. Right off the bat, it reminds me of Zolkin, right, with the spinning gears, but yeah, it just looks beautiful. I'm looking forward to playing this one.
Yeah, and it has slides too.
About it at all.
Mm-hmm.
That was so cool. It not only did the gear, I feel like the gears take all the, everyone wants to talk about the gears, but they slid off the gears. That was so cute. I love when board games become objects like that. I think that's so cool.
Yeah, it's the good old toy.
I want to say that I can resist the charm, but the first time Dark Tower spat skulls at me, I was so in. So,
it is pretty cool. It is pretty cool. It makes it more of like a toy. I don't know. There's something. Yeah. It gives you permission to,
absolutely
have a more toy-like.
I think there's a reason why people like minis in their games, and it's because it's an action figure.
Yeah.
It's just a big action figure. You're dancing around with it, and you're making sounds. Like Dwellings of Eldervale has sounds attached to it, right? Like,
yeah.
We're all big nerds who like a little playing with our toys.
That's right.
Just it.
That's what they are. So thank you, Richard, for our number 6. Let's move right along to Chris, who's got our number 5 today.
Oh yeah, the special secret super announcement that nobody's ever heard of before up until this moment right here.
You're being so cool and low key about it. Like that the coolest part is how low key
you are. Yeah, I'm pretty chill. I'm pretty chill about this sort of thing. Okay. Yeah, no problem. Okay, so this is going to be the second published design from my neighbor. And not my friend.
Not your friend.
Not your friend.
Not my friend. I don't care about him at all. That's why it's objective that I'm putting this on the list. I think he's fine. Every time I say this, his wife gets mad at me. I say, "You're my friend. Don't worry, Karen. You're my friend.
You are different.
It's just Yuval, so who's my neighbor." So this is a game. It's going to be called Viridia. And I don't know if you've got the picture that I sent over there for you, Ruel. Yeah, it's right there. Perfect. Capstone said that you've all sent this over to me, and we can talk about it. It is a city building game. It in its inception used to be called Small Town Big City, because Yuval comes from like a transit background as well. And so he's like a transit consultant as his day job. And so he then created this game. But what was funny is that he sent me this message because I was talking to him about it, and I was like, "Hey, can I talk about Viridia on this upcoming stream? Because like I'm really excited for it." And I've played this in its early inception. I'm excited to play it again very soon with him, do a little bit more play testing of it. But he said one of the how this design started in his brain, he and I were driving down to Origins together, just carpooling, save on gas, not because we're friends. Just we're close, right? It makes sense. It makes sense to share the gas.
Physically, not emotionally,
yeah, exactly. This was like Origins would have been like 2022. And so we were talking about Arc Nova, because Arc Nova had just come out around that time. And he looked at a picture of Arc Nova and he was like, "Oh, maybe it works like this." And he came up with like the beginnings of an idea based around like the 5-card spread that he saw. And it didn't work like that, but that became like the kernel of of the idea for Viridia, which I thought was like a really cool story. So like how it works is it's a deck building game. And so when you take your cards out, when you put your hands of cards, you're going to lay them down in 5 card slots, like Arc Nova's strength, how each card can have a different strength value. And so, but the difference is you're using that combining with like a deck building mechanism. And so every hand you're going to be getting to lay out these cards and deciding what power they're going to be used at or not. And so each hand can have this fluctuating power aspect to it. And you're going to be using this to build like a city of networks and stuff. You'll have your own little city board. You'll be building towers. And like connecting things on the outside will give you bonuses if you connect 2 different things on the outside and whatever. But what I also really like, and what I also thought was really cool, is that the trashing element of a deck building game is, you know, you're always trying to get the better cards into your deck. Any card that you trash and are able to take out, you put above your board, and it's going to act as like tags and additional scoring objectives. And so like the constant cycling that you're trashing these cards and putting them up above, and then you're using those tags to chain into everything else. It's like, oh, if you have this many tags, you can, you know, boost the strength of your card in this way. It just makes like a really neat flow of the game. And so I'm really excited. I'm excited for Yuval that he's getting his sort of second design published. The first one that was published was How to Save a World, which I also play tested and was a fan of. I obviously have more knowledge and excitement for these games because I've gotten to see where the games have improved over the course of time, and I've gotten to be like, hey, this is bad and that's broken, and then see that change, and that's always delightful when you're like, yeah, I don't like this about a game, and then it changes into something that you do like. Of course it's going to be something that's exciting. But yeah, I really like that method of like trashing and turning those cards into the tags up above, and having that with like a city construction element where there's like a tower limit for, I'm not sure if that's still in the game, I assume it is. There's a tower limit for each square. It's like you're building like apartment buildings almost and stacking things on, and you can score all of that for points. And so like combining those 2 things, there's like a draft for tiles that you want to add into your city as well. But yeah, that I think I was just looking down to check my notes if I missed anything that I wanted to talk about. But yeah, I'm really excited about this. I think it's really cool that it's found a home at Capstone as well, because there is that small little Arc Nova connection of like seeing a picture and be like, I think maybe it'll work this way, and then having it work completely different, but then using that as your jumping off point. I think is really cool, and I think it's going to be great. So I think it's Q3 of the year that Viridia is going to be coming out. It doesn't yet have a BGG page. They're in the midst of like putting it up right now, and I wasn't sure if it was going to get done in time for this video, for this stream or not. But yeah, I was also just stoked to be like, hey, can I talk about your game yet? And he's like, oh, you actually can. I was like, great. So like I've known it was signed with Capstone for a little bit, because he just shouts it out of his front door and I hear it because we're neighbors, not because we talk,
not because you're friends,
not because we're friends. To be very clear, it's objective. Yuck is what I would have to say about him as a person. But as a game designer, I like him a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm stoked for this. I think it's going to be a great game, and I think it's a great fit for the publisher for this game as well.
You know what's funny, Chris? Great. I didn't even put 2 and 2 together. I didn't know that your neighbor, not your friend, Yuval, was the designer of How to Save a World. I just played that game recently, and then I do my monthly recap of the games that I played, and it was my number 1 game of January. I loved How to Save a World. So this is really exciting. I'm excited I had no idea Viridia existed until you just started talking about it right now. So I'm happy for your neighbor, not friend, Yuval. This is wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, I love seeing what people do with city building games. To me, it's like one of the great like unsolved design spaces. It's really hard to make a city game that feels like it should. I think nobody really knows what city games should feel like.
Yeah.
And to hear that you're building on top of things that you're building, which I think is really essential. It reminds me of another Martin Wallace game, London,
Yes.
which actually, like, to me, is one of the ones that gets close to feeling like, no, you're always destroying and creating when you're doing city building. So you want to try to capture that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I think it's also cool too that, like, obviously transit is like one of his like he's a transit consultant, right? Like
Yeah.
he's been in that sort of city space for a long time. And so, like, having a game come from somebody who has all of that, like, knowledge and is an avid board gamer, I think is also makes me excited about the theming of it too.
I'm wondering, Cole just brought up London, so I remember I always loved that game, but I always end up with way too. I think it's pollution. Is that what it is in that game? Like,
Sure. Poverty. It's just poverty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was always tough for me to manage. I'm wondering if there's anything like that in Viridia, as far as, like, managing, whatever, when you're city building there.
Yeah, it seems like it's a futuristic style city building.
Yeah.
Is the theming that they've taken it in the direction they've taken it in. So it may not even be on Earth, but we can dream, we can hope.
We can.
Maybe there's no poverty in space.
There it
the aliens
is.
have it figured out,
Yeah.
unlike us.
It's the future. Yeah. A better future. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, great. Thank you, Chris, for that exclusive right here, folks. You heard it here for the first time. Viridia. Let's continue on. I've got my number 4, so we're going to go from space. We're going to go to France. Let's go to France. That's our number 4. I love Let's Go to Japan. So when I heard there was going to be a new version of the game, or I guess a second or a reimagining of the game called Let's Go to France, I was excited. I love the original. There's no videos yet available, but we do have BGG, and we could share the box cover. The original game, Let's Go to Japan, one of my favorite tableau builders, and designer Josh Wood, he's designed 2 of my favorite tableau builders, Let's Go to Japan and also Santa Monica. And what I like about his designs, you're playing cards into your tableau, and you got a little engine building to it. But he always does something really neat where there's like this twist of, like, at the end of the game, there's a spatial element to it where you're going to move, like, your meeples to a certain spot, or you're trying to travel. And Let's Go to Japan, you're using a train. You have train tickets to go from Tokyo to Kyoto. So what the game is all about is planning a trip. In Japan, you're planning a week-long trip to Japan. You're going to do different things, see different sites. And Let's Go to France takes that and moves it, obviously, to France. You're going to be planning your trip to France, and you play cards in your tableau, and you have the different icons and stuff that'll get you more points. But what's really interesting to me that caught my eye was, instead of the train tokens you use in Let's Go to Japan to travel back and forth between Tokyo and Kyoto, you now have this separate map board, and there's no information about it, but I'm interested to see, like, how this map board is going to play out with your tableaus. Like, it looks like everyone's on that map, so I don't know, are you blocking someone from going to their travels? So who knows? I mean, we're going to find out. But I love the theme of Let's Go to France and Let's Go to Japan. This whole thing of, hey, we're building a tableau. We're building our itinerary for the week. And it's like everything's based upon actual places and events. And I always love the story that Josh tells about how he created Let's Go to Japan. It was right before the pandemic. He and his partner were going to go travel to Japan, but because of the pandemic, everything shut down. So he decided, I'm just going to make a game about going to Japan. So he literally
cute.
made
I didn't
this.
know that.
Yeah, he made this great game about going to Japan. And it seems like this will be a franchise now with the Let's Go series. We've got Japan and coming soon France. So big fan of Josh Wood.
Anytime his family wants to go on a vacation, he's like, just give me.
He's like, listen,
give
we
me
have that at
here.
home.
Let's make a game.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
We have France at
we've got it
home.
right here. We can save money.
Exactly. So yeah, maybe he'll do, like, Let's Go to Disneyland or something. Like, hey, there's no reason to go to Disneyland. We can do it here. But I am very excited about this. I love the work he's done with the tableau building mechanism, and Let's Go to France is on top of my list for games that anticipated for 2026.
Nice.
Yeah. I finally played Let's Go to Japan after we got back from our Japan trip. Because we've talked about it on the show a couple of times.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I still haven't played that. And I finally did, and I really enjoyed it. So
cool.
Looking forward to France.
Yeah. It's such a neat thing to, you have your cards, you can play them out. It's like, oh, here's my day. And then what we always do when we play is read off like our itineraries, like, oh, on this
Oh
day.
yeah, you gotta do a little story. Absolutely.
Little story. Yeah, it's fun. Like,
yeah, I love travel themed games. I'm always the one who's planning travel in my life. As I said, I'm planning a trip right now.
Yeah.
And it really does feel like it feels like it's that theme is built for board games, because it really does feel like you're doing this gigantic spatial puzzle of how do we get from here to here? How do we fit all the things we want in? We only have this much money. Like, it feels like it's just a theme built to be gamified. So
totally.
Let's Go to Japan really captured that. So I'm excited for France.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. Moving right along, we've got 3 more games to talk about, folks. And our number 3, Ray, you've got our number 3 today.
That's me. All right, listen, I've got to preface my pick with two things. Thing number 1 is I'm a shallow woman. I looked at this game and put it on my list because of its art, and then I learned the mechanics later.
You like what you like.
We play games with our eyes first, right?
Yes.
And this is a good example of that. So my what is it? We're on number 3 is Soothsayers. And my second preface is that I am not really a tarot person. I'm a tarot tourist. I get my tarot read when I go to the Ren Fair. I do not have much more substantial knowledge underneath that, but I think aesthetically and the mythos around it is really cool. And so the art of this game initially grabbed me. And then in researching the game, I learned that this art is actually public domain. This is based off of a very famous tarot deck that the art has since become public domain, which is why it has this nostalgic, I've seen this before energy to it, which is what initially drew me to it. To me, it felt like a relic somehow. And it was kind of cool. I got to learn a little bit about the history of the tarot deck that this art is pulled from.
Or maybe it's a past life when you were a tarot reader.
Past life. Maybe it was. God, wouldn't that be so cool? I've always wanted to get more into tarot. I don't have the knowledge for it yet. But this is an engine building game where each player is going to be creating a tableau in front of them that are going to each one card for each suit in a tarot deck. So you've got pentacles, wands, cups, and swords. And each of those 4 suits correspond to a different action. And on your turn, you're going to lead one of those suits and take the corresponding action. So it might be to like get some income or to draw some cards, right? Whatever the suit action is. And then when you lead a suit, all other players can follow by taking a less good version of that action, which reminds me of a game I can't think of, which is a mechanic I really like. And you're going to be getting more cards, and as you get new cards and suits and play them down, you're going to be playing higher number values. So if you have the 1 of cups and then you play the 2 of cups, your cups action gets stronger. And if at any point you have the highest number in any given suit, you get some fate, and having the most fate is eventually going to win you the game. And you're going to be using your income and all these various resources in this engine building goodness to buy major arcana cards, which you can then put in front of you that give you special powers that other people don't have access to, unlike your regular suit tableau, in which, again, when you take a certain action, everybody else gets a less good version, but, still gets to benefit from that action, which is a mechanic I really like. I'm a big player interaction person. I really don't vibe often with multiplayer solitaire games. I need to be thinking about what other people want and what they don't want to really engage with a board game. And so I always like when I see that mechanic. And yeah, that's what I know about this game so far. I think it's really gorgeous. I wish we had more tarot themed games. Part of me wished, honestly, I was a little disappointed to learn that the art was public domain. I kind of wish that someone had made their own art, but I'm curious to see if the rulebook acknowledges like the history behind this deck, and maybe there's some cool like design space and choices behind picking existing art that kind of exists in the public consciousness. And yeah, this is Soothsayers. I'm just really excited. I think it's gorgeous. I want it as an object. Again, as I said, I'm a shallow woman. I am often an art or theme first person. But the mechanics seemed interesting enough that I wanted to put it on my list.
Yeah.
I think the design spaces of taking publicly accessible art.
Yeah.
It's free.
It's free. Well, maybe I'm holding out hope that maybe there's more to it than just it's free.
For sure. Oh,
maybe
yeah,
there's not, and maybe I'll be disappointed.
Yeah.
She's credited, the woman who made the original deck is credited as like the artist of the game, which I thought was cool. And we'll see what other if there's other information when the game actually comes out.
Yeah.
But yes, and it's free, which
it's
is
it's a very famous tarot deck because it's the art from the Rider-Waite. So it's like it's like a critical tarot deck. So it's cool that if you're going to do a game, you're going to do it with that.
So before we continue, I should say this. So Ray and I did not know you were going to pick this game, correct, Ray? Like I had no idea.
Yeah.
This game right here is Soothsayers.
Oh, cool.
Full disclosure, I am part owner of Play to Z Games, who published this game, and it's available now. Just I had to put it out there, full transparency.
Cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
have you played it yet? Do you
I have not. I
it?
literally just got my copy like last week, and I just opened it up. And
I'm curious to see what you think.
Yeah, those are the tarot cards, Ray, that you were talking about.
They're gorgeous. They're so big and beautiful.
They are, yeah. So I'm excited because I do like that follow mechanism in games as well, and it's a race to however many points you're supposed to get, and got that light engine building. So I'll be playing it this weekend for sure. So
okay. Well, you have to text me. I want to know what you think.
I will let you know for sure. Cool. Again, full disclosure, folks, I have a vested interest in it. Go buy lots of copies. Let's move on before I get in any more trouble. Cole, you've got our number 2 for today.
So I chose another GMT game, which last time I was on, I picked a GMT game. And I didn't think I would do it 2 years in a row, but I kind of ran into it from very opposite sides. So one of the things I love about the historical game community is that it is sort of fractured. There's like a lot of little groups of designers working in different countries with different design traditions that are all making historical games. And so I had run into this design. So this is Baltic Empires, which is designed by Brian Berg Asklev Hansen and is with art by Niels Johannesson. And he's a Danish designer. And it's a game about a period I know almost nothing about, which is the early modern Baltic region, which I know everyone is just so passionate about here. We're always lining up for the next
you don't know anything about that?
In the expanded Baltic cinematic universe.
Educate yourself. Come on.
You're never coming back.
Here's what I loved about it initially. So I've been following this graphic designer, this artist for a long time, who's been working on historical games and does this very deep research into trying to find traditional techniques, visual motifs, things like that, and then apply them to a modern design. So I mean, a little bit, Ray, of like what you were talking about with adapting the Rider-Waite. Like, what would it look like to do something like the Rider-Waite, but with a modern graphic design sensibility? And so there's this amazing like printmaking quality to it, which I think is really remarkable. And then it is extended not just to the map, but like to every element of the game, like the way the scoring track works and like the player boards and everything it's just so beautifully realized, and there's so much attention given to it. And in the historical game space, usually if I were talking to like a graphic designer who works in historical games 20 years ago, they're talking about selecting the right type, like the right font for their game. They're not really going to do like a full graphics overview or a graphics reworking because it's so expensive, and the historical games part of the hobby tends to be a little more price conscious. But to see a bigger publisher like GMT like really invest in the graphical presentation of a historical game, that alone gets me excited. Like I really wanted to see how this like looks and feels. And then on the design side, so this is a geopolitical game. And on the design side, what I thought was really interesting is the person who designed this game, Hansen, it works mostly in like hex encounter, very traditional war games. Like they're known for this game called Saints in Armor, which like is this very weedy like pike and musket style war game where you have like formations and your guys are marching around in little columns. And I'm always interested in wondering, okay, these folks who work in very established genres, what happens when they like move outside of that genre and make a game that is like quite different, has very different design sensibilities? And because to me, that's a really powerful space, because this designer is in contact with design communities that I'm not really familiar with, and he's gonna try to make something for a more general audience. And so, it's a really neat design team, and also it's fun to see a publisher really, really investing in something new. And so I know, like I haven't played it. I've kind of seen it from afar. I've been following its development, and it seems like it could be really special, especially for folks who have never played a historical game, because they find that like they look a little stuffy. Like,
Mhm.
this is a clean looking game. And so I think, if the looks are what you were looking for, maybe this is a good first one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm
Wrapped.
absolutely the target audience for that, for sure. Of
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Because this is definitely, just upon looking at it, definitely the best looking GMT game I've seen personally.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
that's got my interest. Yeah, like all of us here, I'm not an expert on the subject matter, but I've only played a handful of GMT games, Cole, and actually, the person who created this video, Candace Harris, for GMT. I'm gonna hang out with her in the weeks to come. She's gonna teach me a couple of coin games, so I'm gonna be diving.
Oh,
into,
fun!
Cool.
Yeah, we're gonna play Cuba Libre and also People Power. And the only GMT experience I've had was Twilight Struggle, which was pretty awesome. But it's not a game that I would play regularly. But I am curious about. I'm coin curious, so I'm super excited about.
Well, and those are Candace. Candace knows what she's about, and so she selected like a perfect tasting menu.
Nice.
People Power is so interesting.
Yeah.
The other thing I'll mention is the person who did the graphic design, Niles, has done a lot of work, and I first came to his work through a graphic design he did for a game called Hands in the Sea, which is a really interesting ancient war game. And I love following like a graphic designer's career. Sometimes in the industry, we spend a lot of time looking at like designers or even development teams.
Yeah.
But you can, if you look at like the first game a graphic designer did and see their skill develop as they get more familiar with the form of working on a game, by the time someone gets 5-10 years into their career, they're in a real powerful place. And so it's really nice to see a work that is so confident. I mean, like all of the textures, I mean, it's hard to even see on the screen, but like they're just like beautifully printed, and like no one is going to Shutterstock and buying a paper texture and putting it on a multiply on top of this. These are like this is really like masterful work.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, this map is so gorgeous. I'm just like scrolling around it right now. I don't know if I've talked about it on the show before or not, but I have I got my degree in geology and geography. So like I studied old maps like all through college. That was like my thing. And it's like just looking at this map. The thing is, I want like to play a TTRPG in this. Like I want to know about that little guy in that ocean. Like that's what I want. You know, because I love like the cartouches are beautiful. Like this is gorgeous. Like this really does feel like, again, almost like a relic. Like you're finding this old piece of history. Like this is so gorgeous. It's so gorgeous. So this is the type of thing that would hook me because this is pretty to look at. And again, I play games with my eyes and I want to be looking at something gorgeous while I play. So yeah, thanks for bringing this up. This is so cool.
Yeah.
Well, Cole, I know too. Like Root is like a coin game, right?
Yeah. It's like it's coin in vibe, but not in mechanism.
Right. Yeah, it's a little bit easier to sort of parse so I assume you have like a pretty huge knowledge of like wargaming. What's your wargaming like history?
I mean, I started playing war games before I started playing any other type of board game. My formative, I have like two formative game memories, which is I grew up in a house where we played lots of games. If the weather was good, you were playing hockey on the street, and if the weather was bad, you were inside playing Risk with Dad. And then when I was in 5th grade, I had an uncle who was maybe 15, 20 years older than my dad, and he dropped off like a box of his old Avalon Hill games. And all the pieces were like totally hopelessly mismatched. Like there was no way that there were no like complete games. But I remember just like opening up the maps, and I was like a map obsessed child. And I would always like collect like old atlases from the parents' cars when they were done with them. I'm like, no, that goes in my map drawer. And I just remember like setting up these maps and like pushing around pieces. And the thing about wargaming as the center of the hobby is so much information can be held on a map, right? Like so Sanibel, as an example, that map has like 10 spaces. It's like a 10 like data container map. It's very, very like low resolution. If you look at a map from like the operational studies group, which does these like brilliant Napoleonic war games, there are 500 yards to a hex, and they're maps that are many, many, many miles. And so you were looking at this like very hyper realized terrain. And when you are playing a war game, you were spending a lot of time like kind of zooming in your mind's eye and being like, how are we going to get across that creek? Like, do we build a little bridge there? They're very logistic, and they operate at a resolution that you don't really see anywhere else in gaming. And so all through my life, I found myself kind of like getting pulled from one historical game to another. And then I found it kind of alarming that when I was at university and started actually working on design, that I would loved role playing games. And I loved, El Grande and like traditional like 90s and early 2000s German games. I loved historical games, but the design communities for those games don't talk to each other. And so like right now I'm playing a game of Forbidden Lands, the Free League RPG, which, speaking of gorgeous maps, is like so beautifully realized. And as I was like learning it and going through it, I'm like, this box has so many lessons for anybody who's interested in historical wargaming. But it's got a goblin on the cover, and so like a historical designer may not pick up that box. And likewise, there are so many like unbelievable, interesting interactions that can exist in in a game like I don't know, like Here I Stand, or like logistical concerns in a Napoleonic War game, that anybody who is interested in like a brass expansion, for example, or a new brass version like that game is borrowing ideas from that. In fact, one of the reasons why I adore Martin Wallace is he was one of the first designers who I felt like was able to bridge that gap really smoothly. And so I've been playing historical games kind of my entire life, and I they felt for many years like they were kind of locked in a kind of stasis. And then in the past 15 years, and maybe it was Twilight Struggle that did it, something kind of like came came unglued, and you are seeing really fantastic games. I mean, the game that you're about to play, People Power, it's a coin game, but one of the factions is like an activist movement.
Yeah.
So like they don't have guns, they don't have weapons, but they're like an actual faction in a 3-player, war game. And how they change the calculus and the way you interact is really compelling, and you don't really see that anywhere else in gaming.
Now I'm like super excited to play People Power.
Yeah, it's really good.
That's awesome.
Really good.
That one, I just on theme alone, as someone of Filipino heritage, that really spoke to me because it's based on the in the 80s, the People Power movement in the Philippines when they took down Marcos. So that one, just the theme alone. But now, just knowing that it's a coin game, and Candace, I can't wait to play games with you. I will see you soon.
Well, and there's one other little thing that I would add about historical games, which is I went to a game convention when I was just kind of starting out. I think like Root Hit was out, but some of the other games weren't out yet. And I'd been going to game conventions, and all of us here have gone to lots of game conventions. And on the professional side, and I'm sure you experience this a lot, sometimes the conversation will slide into like market penetration and like the return and the margins, and that's fine. That's really interesting and important, but it does this odd thing where the games start to become secondary to like a market strategy or kind of posture. And when I went to historical gaming conventions, I remember seeing these like 4 or 5 older designers like arguing about some World War II battle. I think it was like the Battle of the Bulge. And I have no interest in it. I have no interest in the Second World War, like especially tactical war games in it. But their conversation was so animated. And as I was listening, I realized, everyone at this table had made a game on that subject. And they weren't competing. They were like comparing notes. Like, what did you learn? What are you trying to teach with your game? And I realized that like one of the great things about working in historical games is that for a lot of people who work in historical games, and I'm certainly including this, the goal is to try to like understand something that happened through games. And so the whole industry is like an industry that's about like knowledge and how do you use the game to understand something. And that means that when you're doing the work of working on historical games, you have to be accountable to the historical record. And that's this awful burden, but it's also a really wonderful like vocation and cause. So it's like really easy to get animated. And when you're working on a historical game, I mean, one of my favorite steps is really sitting into like, what's the art direction? What are we trying to communicate about the period? What feels ahistorical? What is ahistorical in a way that is like provocative and might be useful and advance other arguments?
Right.
And those are concerns that you just don't quite see as much in the hobbyist side of the market. And I adore the hobby side of the market. I'm so happy that Root exists and we're able to tell these big political stories with these animal allegories. But it's also like no substitute for the process of like looking through old books of coins to determine which piece you want to be like the one coin piece in a game.
Well, I'm curious about that too, and just in terms of, you mentioned in terms of like maintaining historical accuracy too. That's always been something where I push up against on the concept of war games. It's like, let's take a World War II. Well, we know the outcome. We know who won the battles, but for there to be inherent conflict in a game, right? One side could win that didn't win in like a historical way. Like, how do you does that ever like factor into that decision making space, or is it just like, it's, well, we zone in, we see what we can learn from other aspects, but then it's like you still play the game and you see who wins for a battle?
I'm always trying to capture like the feeling of the actors in the game. So you're always selecting who are the people who have agency. Those are your player positions. And then I'm really trying to think about like, well, what were they worried about? And then if I can capture what it felt like to be on the ground, they don't know the future yet. And so the game then, to use World War II as an example, you're not trying to tell the story of the Second World War. You're trying to tell the story of like what it felt like to be Eisenhower or to be Churchill, or like, you're like trying to find a specific mind. And then, but it does lead you to some weird places where in the historical games community, I'll tell people like, I want the historical outcome like 10% of the time. It should be possible, but it shouldn't necessarily be common, because people didn't know it was going to happen. There's like a real uncertainty of the moment. And if you're not capturing that, then it feels more like a play. It feels like, oh yeah, well, I
like
went to Macbeth. I kind of knew how Macbeth was going to end.
Yeah.
And you don't want that. You want like a real feeling of like, I'm sitting down to a play. I don't know which of Shakespeare's history plays I'm even going to watch.
Yeah.
And that'll get determined organically.
Cool. Is that the difference between, say, like a war game and like a historical simulation type game?
That's exactly the question I was going to ask you, Ruel, because I noticed the difference in terms there as well, and I've never been close enough to the community to make that distinction. So yeah.
Well, it's funny. They're really smooth. I mean, people who get very defensive about wargaming, I think there's like two ways to be defensive about wargaming. There's one way that is like not productive and is very pearl clutchy. And it's like war games are games with guns and men, and that I've never really like. It's never felt that productive of a way of thinking about the difference. But I do think there is an argument for like, well, there are games that are simulations that are really trying to capture a very deep level model of what's happening. So like a good example, like in the world of Napoleonic war games. There are these simulations that say like, look, we kind of know how fast someone could walk. We know how they got their orders. We're going to have a really robust simulation that tries to capture a lot of things, and that it allows you to do these like exercises. Like if you were teaching a class on what was possible and not possible at the Battle of Eylau or something, you could use like a really good simulation. Now, is that going to produce compelling game decisions? No. Like almost never, really.
Right.
In the same way that like Dwarf Fortress as a interlocutor, if you sit down and play a game like Dwarf Fortress is not interested in being a game. Like I don't even know if it has a point system framework, but it is interested in like, well, your dwarf ate like some meat that had gone bad and now they're feeling sick. And those are like, it's interesting that the game system can do that. Like it's very compelling, and that's a simulationist concern. Whereas if you compare that to games that have points, and here I could even like, I'll gesture at another roguelike game, Caves of Cud, where when you die in that game, it says like, here's how you scored. Or if you've played Spelunky, like you're getting little treasures because there are points. And from the perspective of a simulation, points are not useful because you're not trying to gamify the situation. You're just trying to capture it. So it's sort of the difference between like running a camera in a corner and editing a movie together. You know what I mean? Like you can have a good wargaming simulation is like a very high resolution camera. It can capture a lot. I mean, it's more complicated than that because it's also a model. You can put inputs and get outputs. But to me, a game involves curation. It involves like a narrative flair. Like how are you choosing to edit these events in a way that makes a compelling story and then allows players to tell those stories? And if you're doing that kind of work, now you're in the space of game design.
Right.
Wow.
Cool.
This
like
is the part. This is the end.
This is why I always have to do the history game. You're always going to get a history game out of it.
That was amazing.
You're always going to get a history game. I love talking about it.
Yeah.
Oh, totally. It's super interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
and I love a part of the hobby that I just
I mean, I always tell people that like when I have to give talks or think about history games, that like essentially history games are just historical fiction. They're historical fiction generators. And so like if you like Wolf Hall, if you've ever like watched, I don't know, I've never seen an episode of Yellowstone, but I'll say Yellowstone. Like any show that is a period piece, like Deadwood, like that is what playing a historical game feels like. And the really good ones, you feel like you fall into another world. And then what is amazing is when you exit it, you don't just feel that hunger to play more of the game. And we were talking about this earlier, Chris, with like magic cards and that feeling of like, I just want to access the game more.
Yeah.
My favorite thing about history games is they aren't just doors into more history games. They're also doors into like, I kind of want to go see an opera now. Like I don't know anything about like the early 19th century poetry. Like, should I go read some Lord Byron? And then pretty soon you're like booking a trip to some odd place because you just want to see like, yeah, I've never been to like a Welsh mine. Can I just like see what those look like? And it's the way that they are like doors to the whole human story. And so that to me is the thing that like keeps me coming back over and over again to them as a form.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you, Cole, and thank you, Prince. Why don't we move on? Let's see what Richard has for our number one game. This has been an amazing conversation.
Yeah, beat that, Richard.
I know, right?
Yes.
Okay,
he will. He's going to be on the street.
Tunnel
Watch
shift
out.
is going to go crazy.
Yeah, he better be skydiving.
Okay, here we go. Richard, take it away.
Okay, looks like we got 4 more really strong entries. Chris, Viridia. I cannot wait to hear more about this. You know how much I love Your Neighbor Not Friends designed How to Save a World. And so his next title, yes please, I want to hear more. I cannot wait to hear what you've got to say about it. I love that we're breaking exclusives here on the show. Very exciting. And Ruel, let's go to France. An excellent choice. I talked about this one actually in my extended 105 game, or maybe did I put it in my top 26? I don't remember. Here's the sad tale of woe for me. I loved Let's Go to Japan, and when Jen and I left America to come to Ireland, after my last day of filming with Alex Hart of Might I Suggest a Game, I wanted to thank him for all the help he had done for me over like the preceding year, and I saw how much he was excited about the game, so I gifted him my copy, my deluxeified copy of Let's Go to Japan, and now I don't have it anymore, so I'm very excited to be checking out the sequel and see what France brings to the table. And then Ray, Soothsayers. You have put this on my list. Somehow I totally missed this one. In my extended 130 games I've already talked about, but after seeing it was on your list, I went and researched it a bit more, and this looks really, really cool. So, a good choice. Although, Ray, before we move on, I know you don't necessarily want to be, talking up your own games very much, but I want to hear all about Evenglow. I want to hear about Oasis. Those were games I considered putting on the list, but I couldn't because there's just not enough information out there. Maybe in the post-show you could talk about those a little bit. Maybe drop some more exclusives. Maybe, if you can. I don't want to get you in trouble with the higher-ups. Anyway, though, and then Cole, Baltic Empires. Yeah. I'm sure this is wonderful if you're of a certain mindset, which I am certainly not, but I'm still glad to have you here talking, because GMT games, I mean, of course, they're always reliable if you're looking for a certain experience, but I am not. Anyway, though, folks, let's now talk about number 1 on the list, Timespan. And no, first of all, this is not a sequel to Wingspan. Timespan is a perfectly reasonable title to have. Just because we've got Finspan and Wormspan and Wingspan doesn't mean this has anything to do with that. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be making that joke as it comes close to release. In fact, I know for a fact, I actually sat down at Essen Spiel with the designers, Christian and Kenneth. And they said they were really worried about naming it Timespan because they thought it would create confusion amongst the audience because Stonemaier Games somehow owns the word span. Anyway, though, all that aside, none of that has anything to do with anything. This is a civilization building game that looks to play very fast. Like I said, the two guys who, by the way, they have produced some really great designs working together in the past. Automania was maybe my modern introduction to conveyor belts, which is now my favorite board game mechanism of all time. And, what was the other one? They had a really, really cool, I can't think of it now, but it was arguably the best Machi Koro inspired game, Bad Company. Everybody loves on Space Base. Forget it. Bad Company is where it's at. So anyway, the two of these working together, always going to attract my attention. And when they gave me the high-level pitch and walked me through it and asked me for feedback, and I gave them a lot of feedback, some of which I know they're going to implement in the final game, I was hooked. I love a good civilization building game. That's one of my favorite things to do, is build in board games, especially when you're working on a civilization scale. Now, often civilization games sadly don't work for me in Gen because they always include an element of war, but sometimes civ games come along that, don't shy away from that, but also make it Care Bear friendly. This is definitely one of those, but that's not why I'm excited. It's also not the fact that it's played simultaneously for the most part, which allows the game to go really, really quick. That is another big attraction. Just 5 eras, 5 ages, all simultaneous play. But where is it? It's in here somewhere. Each player has a civilization board with a time frame where you can build up to 5 cards that represent, cultural breakthroughs and wonders and technologies and societal, all the stuff you would expect. But this is a conveyor belt. And so as you put new cards on, it forces the other ones to slide out. So you only have a limited amount of time with all of these different cards. And that was actually one of the big things I talked to them about, is look at all the cool things you can do with conveyor belts that after they slide off or when they put on or, while actions are active, as long as they stay on, there is a lot of really great potential for this game. I haven't played it, but I've gotten a very detailed walkthrough, and they weren't even done yet. And like I said, I think I'm going to love this game. This is my early guess as a top 10 for the year. If I'm lucky and they decide to take a couple of my suggestions and work their way into it, I think a lot of folks who love the same kind of games as me will love this as well. So, I wanted to talk about it in my earlier videos, but it wasn't on Board Game Geek yet, and there wasn't any image or anything. So, I'm happy I can finally talk about it now, which I'm glad we're doing an R&R, so I could talk some more anticipated games. Number 1, with a bullet, is Timespan. Although, folks, I'm not done yet. I'm going to throw back to everybody, and then I'll come back with a quick, rapid-fire rundown of 10 top 10 additional anticipated games of 2026. So, back to y'all.
Oh, you're muted, Ruel.
Oh, Ruel, you're muted.
Okay. I'm not muted anymore. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Ray. Timespan totally flew under my radar. I had no idea about this game, so thank you, Richard,
me neither.
for that. Yeah,
I think that's so funny that they have to be concerned.
That's
right.
Hilarious.
It's
Love
so
that.
funny.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
It'll get changed to time frame.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh man, folks, that's been our top 10 most anticipated games in 2026. So I want to thank you all again for watching, and as promised, we have Richard coming back on for 10 more games, and then we'll talk about some of the ones that didn't make our list. So stick around. I'm going to turn it back to Richard. Richard, what are the other games that you had for us? Let me press this button. We're going to find out right now.
Okay, right. Top 10 is over. Let's talk a little bit more. I want to give you another top 10, folks. You're getting a double top 10 today. So let's come back over here. Although, first of all, here's actually that ramble I was talking about, where I talked about 105 games. I mean, you can see just all of them here. And I feel kind of bad that I have not really done shout outs. These are all the 28 games I've actually played. If you watch that video, I rank them from best to worst, or from most excited about to least excited about, you could say. I talked about the secret Stonemaier stuff that's coming, or at least what's known about them. And then I just went through my wish list, sort of no other order than just Board Game Geek randomness, the way they sort stuff. And there's a whole bunch of games that I've talked about that I'm not talking about today in this top 10. I didn't talk about 2026. I feel kind of bad. There's a lot of good games here. Let's say, of all of these, my top 5, I'm giving you another top list, but I'm just saying, Wild World is a much check out, definitely. Wild World, let's see, what else? There's some that you folks, Cabana. Folks, watch for Cabana. I expect this one's going to be phenomenal. Let's see, what else? What other ones really jump out at me? Okay, Chris, I won't say Sword and Sorcery. I know you don't want to hear about that. Sail Legacy, I will admit, not a trick-taking guy, but you put Legacy on it, and I gotta check it out. Let's see. Give me 2 more of these. Oh, the Great Library, the latest from Vita Lasarda. Always got to see what he's up to. So I'm excited for that one. And just one more. What other one of these? Because I talked about all of them at length and I didn't make sure. Oh, you know what? Small Folk. Folks, watch for this one too. There's a great video, I think, from Meeple University that kind of demos it. Looks really, really good also. So there's a whole bunch more, and then I talked about a bunch of expansions. Anyway, though, I'm not talking about any of that stuff today. I'm now going to rapid fire through a new top 10. So I will have ultimately talked about 140 plus games. But let's get to it. Number 10, LEDA. And Cole, you might be interested in this one. This is a 2-player only head-to-head game. We're building our own little civilizations out of a grid of cards, trying to put the right cards in the right place. But then these little action tiles, the shapes on them indicate which cards we can activate in concert with each other as we're, facing off across the battle line. Really, mostly trying to build up our society. But there are attack elements in here. It's why it's at the bottom of my list. I think this is going to be kind of a 7 wonders sort of attacking, where hey, whoever has the most attacking gets some points. Hopefully, we're not stealing from each other. That's why I'm a little nervous and I put LEDA at the top of this list. But sorry, we are French. They tend not to let one down. So I'm interested in that one. Let's see. And then number 9. Oh, Core of Discovery Duo. Core of Discovery was excellent. Made me actually enjoy deduction gaming. Now there's a 2-player only one where each player has their own logic rules they have to adhere to, and their teammate might break the rules. Then we got, Knights of the Round Table. Johnny Pack is back. And there's really no information about this at all, unfortunately. But I'm putting it for 2 reasons. The Johnny Pack, and then, look at this board. Look at it. Oh man, this is Coloma level Johnny Pack. Look at all that stuff. I don't know what it is. I have no idea how it plays. But it looks exciting, doesn't it? Tell me you are not excited about all of that. So, Knights of the Round Table, that one's very, very interesting to me. Then we've got 8 dragons. And folks, I mentioned before, I love a really cool gimmick, and this one has one. You've got this kind of train of dragons that go around the board. They stop at different villages that are full of villagers. You can upgrade your train. I think they're going to show it in this little video. So you can make the train longer because you're like a matriarch dragon, and your babies will follow you from village to village, and then you interact with the villagers. You don't try to destroy them. You stop at a village. You get resources and whatnot, because I think this is just the action selection mechanism that leads to the tile laying game, which I think you can almost see the tiles at one point. I love tile laying. I love the art style, but tell me that doesn't look like fun. I want to play with this. There's some tiles there too. So 8 dragons. I'm already, I've marked myself. I'm definitely interested in that one. Let's see. And then Lucky Duck's Oakspire. The Builders of Sunleaf Grove. Why am I interested in that? Well, it looks real purdy-like. It talks about being at once very cozy, but also very puzzly. So that's like the right mix for me and Jen. But it's a multi-use card game where, if I recall correctly, each card can either be harvest the resources off it, play it to activate some immediate actions, or get the thing built to give you ongoing abilities. Anytime a game does that, I am there for it. Especially when it looks this nice and promises an equal amount of cozy and puzzly. So that one seems very, very exciting to me. The Oakspire. Let's see, then what else was there? There is, Carl Linne? I'm not sure how to pronounce Carl Linne. I'm not sure who Carl Linne is, other than he's a famous 18th century naturalist or natural historian. Or we're natural historians inspired by the work of Carl Linnaeus and his contemporaries. That's all cool. Unfortunately, there's very little information here. Just very broad. The list of mechanisms is not good enough. So why am I putting this so high? 2 things. Pink Troubadour seems unstoppable. I've been really impressed by everything they've done, including last year's, their big box from 2025 by designer Mikhail, was it Peichel? Last year's Forestry was excellent. So this is their follow-up to Forestry. Yeah, gotta give it a go. even if I'm going in blind, which is the case at the moment. Then what have we got? Oh, we've got wine and cheese. I loved Scott Alm's Beer and Bread. At the time, I believe I said it was his greatest design of all time. The Peak Team might eclipse it. The Peak Team is really excellent too, but Beer and Bread is either his greatest or his second greatest design of all time. Sadly, I don't have my copy anymore because the Dice Tower West Convention Library needed it, and so I donated it to them, and I never got it back. So I've been very sad, because that is a game I definitely want to own long term. But hey, it's got a sequel coming now that looks like it's got the same core idea of, playing cards to your side of the board. I imagine they're multi-use like they were, but now it's wine and cheese instead of beer and bread, and I'll be honest, I'm not a drinker at all, but I prefer making wine to brewing beer, and I like cheese more than I like bread. So I'm there for the subject matter, definitely. And I mean, this one seems bigger and more robust. It's not quite such a simple, harvesting resources that are just building up over time. It looks like there's some kind of, I don't know, is it area domination of, harvesting all the stuff? There's just a lot. This seems like it's got a lot more going on, which makes sense. It's a sequel, so Scott is going to build it up bigger, better, and I cannot wait to check out wine and cheese. Then, one more, First Giants. Two names are what bring me here. Matt Dudston and Brett Gilbert teaming up again. And interestingly, teaming up with Space Cowboys. Why is that so interesting to me? Because I believe the last time that trio got together, they gave us one of the greatest card games of all time, Elysium. Still, in my top 50 of all time, one of the all-time greats, and it breaks my heart that Matt and Brett have been sitting on a fully done expansion for Elysium for years now. And I just don't know if it's ever going to see the light of day. That's heartbreaking, but here's the deal. Reading the description of this, which admittedly there's not much, we're museum curators trying to make the best collections of bones and whatnot, this sounds an awful lot like a description for the gameplay of Elysium. Play cards for their powers, hold on to them to build your engine, but eventually sacrifice them, move them not into your Elysium, like Elysium, but instead move them onto display so they can turn into point scoring cards. When to sacrifice your powers for points, I always love that. And so, First Giants, very, very keen on that one. And then I've already talked about number 2, Arctica, and number 1, Timespan. So there you go. There's like another 15 or so games. 2026 is exciting. Can't wait to hear more, including maybe from Ray about some of those off games. Anyway, throwing back to y'all. I'm sure you have a few more you'd like to mention as well.
Thanks, Richard. Wow, so many games. Thank you for that, Richard. All the games. Friends, I just want to remind y'all, if you're watching this on YouTube, drop in the comments what games you're excited for in 2026.
Yeah.
We'd sort of talked about this a little earlier. Like Cole said, this is going to be a great year for games. There's just a lot of stuff coming out. And the ones that we didn't get on our list, let's talk about those if we have a few more minutes here. Cole, would you like to highlight anything that we didn't talk about?
I am disappointed in everyone because I thought somebody was going to pick the Danes.
The Danes?
Yeah. It might be one of those situations where I thought someone else was going to pick it and everybody thought someone else was going to pick it. We all wanted to be different.
I have had like a slow burn romance with Feast for Odin. I didn't like it, but then our friends were like, you should try again. And like slowly I've come to really appreciate Feast for Odin. I adore it. We only play with the Norwegians and it gets played like a lot. Like I've logged a bunch of games of that. And the notion of the Danes as an expansion has been like floating around forever.
Yeah.
And I've been very curious to how you expand a game that like physically could never fit. Like, I don't know. You're running into realities of space and time in terms of how much stuff can go in that box.
Yeah.
And so the idea of a standalone version, I mean, I'm hoping this can like do to Feast for Odin what maybe Brass Birmingham did for Brass.
Yeah.
Where it's like, here's kind of a different flavor, a different way of approaching it. And, I actually, I'm a Brass Lancashire fan. Don't Chris. I think it's better than Birmingham.
We can still chill.
However, I think Rosenberg is one of those designers who's really good at iterating on his own ideas without compromising them. Like I've been playing a lot of Aura and Labora lately, and I love how it's like, it kind of like takes Le Havre and it just says like, we're going to go like 30 degrees off. And it takes you to a totally different place. And so I'm very interested to see what he does with the Danes.
Yeah. I just know it's going to be a big price point too. That's what I was like scared, or that's what I think people were talking about in the Discord. And so I'm like, oh my goodness. But yeah, Feast for Odin is just such a friggin' good game. Yeah,
I love Feast for Odin.
Yeah. What about you, Ray?
Look at that cover. That cover's so stunning.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yes,
any honorable mentions?
Well, we gotta fulfill all of Richard's fantasies and have you talk about all the secrets. Of the op.
Yeah.
It'll be fine. I will say I am a little disappointed myself that I didn't put Even Glow on my list. I didn't want to because I work for the publisher, conflict of interest, but Even Glow is going to be really, really great. I'm really excited for it. If nobody rats me out, I can talk about it a little bit. Even Glow, that says a man with eyes that say I'm gonna rat you out.
Hey, let's make it more historically accurate, okay?
Oh my dude, please God. We're never getting a sponsor ever again. And I hope everyone's enjoyed the final R&R show that will ever happen. But Even Glow's got a really interesting mechanic where you are placing first of all, really cool drafting mechanic that it's hard for me to explain without some sort of visual, so I'm not even going to try. Cool little drafting, like player interaction drafting, right? Like kind of not I cut you choose, but kind of, which always love that. And then you're drafting 2 tiles and you're placing them down on a board that's got 2 halves, and you have to mirror your placement of the pieces, but the pieces might be different, and they've got cool spatial scoring bonuses. And I love a spatial game. People know this. I'm so excited for it. That's what I'll say. It's got a cool kind of yin and yang. I swear I just got a Slack. Hold on. If that's someone yelling at me. No, okay, we're good. I was like, Andrew would be listening and then immediately texted me. That is not out of the question. That first Slack notification I've gotten this whole stream right after I say that. But no, it's not a big secret. Even Glow is going to be really great though. If you like tile placement, spatial games, that is one to look out for. Cover is also really gorgeous. I also had, I wanted to say, because we went straight to both of Rahdo's videos, I wanted to talk about his love of conveyor belts really quickly, because I have loved watching him fall in love with conveyor belts over the years of watching his videos, and hearing him talk about that made me super nostalgic for my very first interaction with Rahdo ever. Was he reviewed, back when I worked at Resonum, he reviewed Mechanica, and it was like when he gave a rave review of Mechanica. It was like our first really big like media hit kind of like ever at the time, and he was just so excited with the spinning dial of Mechanica, and it's been cool to see that become like a persistent thing that he's always looking for. Not that Mechanica started it, obviously probably Zolkin or whatever started
Mechanica
started it. Well, it's like a cool rotating conveyor belt thing, so that was like that made me really happy to hear him talk about that.
Nice.
Other games on my list, I have Hover on my list, which was one of those games that I found on BGG where there just wasn't enough information for me to really put it on my list. But it looks like a really gorgeous game about, they describe them as vicious hummingbirds, about how hummingbirds are usually depicted as these peaceful, beautiful creatures, but they have these actually really intense, aggressive social hierarchies. And that alone as a concept sounded really cool to me. I don't know anything more about that, but vicious hummingbirds fighting each other. Really cool. It's a first-time design couple, which is always kind of cool. I had Lodge on my list. I love a little tile placement goodness. That's been starting to make the rounds on like social media. I had Fame and Fable. I feel like I've been seeing this game at conventions for like 8 million years, and I believe it is finally coming out this year, which is very exciting. The art, if you're a visuals first board gamer, Fame and Fable, if you have not seen it, it's arresting. It's so gorgeous. It looks like it's a fun little like adventure game. You're trying to build up your little arsenal of tools and going out and fighting monsters, but the monsters themselves are it's so gorgeous. Look at that.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing that.
And they've been working on it for a really long time. Yeah, it's one of those games where if you've seen it, you've seen it, right? Really gorgeous table presence too. I've seen it at a couple conventions. Have yet to actually play it, but looking forward to this one as well. And yeah, those were my runner-ups that I had on my list.
Good on. What about you, Chris?
Nice. Yeah, my runner-ups, I had a few more. The Danes was definitely a consideration for sure, just because like, come on, it's so good.
It's apparently 2027, so don't fall in the same hole I fell into.
Oh, it's apparently 2027. I have a 2027 as well that I put on just because I was like, I don't care. It's the Agricola Zombies one that's probably going to come out. It's like a zombie version of Agricola. I just want to see what they do with it.
Same.
I don't know.
Wait, what is this?
Agricola
I don't know what's
Zombies.
going on. Yeah, there's going to be like an Agricola. Like Awakened Realms took Agricola and did the special edition, and then they're going to have a new. It's like Dead Harvest is what it's called, Agricola Dead Harvest, and there's probably zombies who are attacking your farm,
Yeah.
which I just think is
That's
so funny and
phenomenal.
unnecessary.
I love that.
But I just
I'm
think
sad it's not called
sounds...
Agricola Zombies. That would have been better, but whatever. We had to be cooler about
Harvest.
it. Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that is pretty funny. And then I also was just like, what's fun about doing these lists is because I cover so much crowdfunding, right? Like I'm always a couple years ahead, and then don't know when the things actually get delivered. Because I don't know if it's this year or like how long production is going to take. And so like having so I get to look at the well of those things that I liked and remembered. Like I just did a thing for Everdell Emerland like in December, and I loved it. I thought it was equal to Silver Frost, but in a different way. I think Silver Frost is also awesome, Everdell. So that was their Layers from KDBG is probably coming out or being delivered this year, and that's one that I really enjoyed playing, where you both have created your own dungeon. It's a 2-player game. You create your own dungeon, and then you try to move through the other person's dungeon as quickly as you can. So it's like, okay, I'm moving up forward, and they tell you if it's you're surrounded by walls or if you've fallen into a trap or something. It's really fun, and if you feel so proud about your own dungeon that you're building while simultaneously like deducing how the opponent set up their dungeon, I think it's really cute. And then there's another one that I am excited about. I'm going to review. I just got in contact with them because I was like, although this one was super high up on my like end of the year, I look back on crowdfunding and I just kind of click on everything that I remember, and then I order them, like the things that stand out. And one of them that was really high up for me, and I wasn't expecting it. It's a game called Suraya or Surya, Surya. And I think it looks really good. I think it's deck building, a little bit of deck building and area control in this futuristic way. But I like that each of the factions has their own specific upgrade deck that you're going to be drawing from. Yeah, I think those must be prototype
Yeah, there we go.
pictures there. I don't know. Maybe that's the final copy. Maybe they've changed the art direction.
Oh, that looks cool.
Yeah, they did Barbaric, which was like a big minis game, which apparently the rulebook wasn't that good, but it was a good game. And this, it's a modular map. You're going out, you're trying to get resources from the land while building up your own action economy with your own asymmetric faction. So I just thought, I thought it looked pretty simple, like nothing too innovative, so to speak, in terms of taking away from the genre. But I felt like what it was doing, it looks like it's going to do it well. So I'm excited to get it and review it. I think that should be out also in 2026. So those were my kind of hits.
Right on. Cool. A few of mine made your list. I talk about Brass Pittsburgh. I'd on my list was Off With Their Heads, and also another game from Druid City Games called Wonderland's War Duel. The 2-player game based on Wonderland's War, which I love. I love that, but that game can go long. If you ever played it, it's like a 3-4 hour game. But the duel game, I'm happy to report, is excellent. It is based on the Wonderland's War. It's still a bag builder, but it's strictly a 2-player game. It's got a little bit of area control, bag building, and then like a tug of war as far as like trying to get the factions on your side. So it was really good. Other games that I was had on my list: Gold Country. And this is just a way for me to talk about one of my favorite designers, Reiner Knizia. This is a re-implementation of an old game of his, and this is from Bitewing Games, who've done a bunch of his titles recently, and this one looks cool. The Good Doctor, he does a lot of games that I enjoy. And finally, one other one I wanted to talk about, I had played a prototype of this. Actually, did a video for Good Time Society. It's Mystic Lands. This is the re-implementation, actually like the second edition, I guess, of Mystic Vale. But everything about it's better than the original. It's got this new lands system where you actually go on like this little board, and you can travel around the board and get powered up for your card. It's still card crafting at its heart. It's great. Oh, there's Paula Deming. And I think this is the better version of Mystic Vale is Mystic Lands. That'll be out sometime later this year.
Cool.
So
I haven't heard about that one.
Yeah.
And I see, Cole, you're dropping in the chat of Oath's expansion. If you want to just say it for our YouTube viewers as well, too.
Yes,
sure.
I want to pass it back to you.
Okay, well, I will. Let me round out another unlikely honorable mention, which is because I was thinking about one way I prepared for this, like you, is I looked at my things that I backed on Kickstarter and forgotten about, and one of them that apparently is very close to being done is Flow, the like open world adventure game, which I am very intrigued by. I think that like open world games are a really fun design space, and Andrew Bosley did all the art, so it's gorgeous. And it's also, I think it's like a newer team that's building it. I'm always like very interested to see, like, you know, I love, I mean, obviously being a little biased about crowdfunding, I love the way that crowdfunding kind of sculpts these new design teams, and they all have really different sensibilities. And so might be really good. We'll find out. And then for stuff that I'm working on, we, in addition to the ARCs campaign that's coming soon, we are finishing the Oath expansion. So we built this really huge, strange, one step too ambitious expansion for Oath that kind of operates like a revised edition. It like simplifies some parts of the game, expands other parts of the game, and it's going to press right now. It was a thing I did right before I hopped on this call.
Nice.
I was in the files looking at some pre-press things, making sure that everything is getting ready to go. That will be out later this year, so we don't know the exact timing on it. And then in addition to the ARCs crowdfunding campaign, we'll have the next historical game in the fall. We haven't decided which one it's going to be yet, but we'll know pretty soon.
Very excited.
And then I guess I should say too that if anyone here will be at Gamma, I'll be at Gamma. I'll be happy to say hi.
I will see you there.
And then and then there's lots of travel for our team. Well, I'll be at GDC, and then maybe Origins, definitely Gen Con.
Awesome, cool. All right, friends. Lots of games we talked about today. Again, drop in the comments below what games you're anticipating this year. Big shout out and a thank you to Cole Werhle for joining us today. Thank you, Cole. It's always an honor to have you on the show. And shout out, and a shout out to Chris and Ray and Rahdo, wherever you are. Well, we know where you are, but we hope you're doing well. And folks, we will see you next time. I just want to remind you that today's R&R show was brought to you by Red Mojo Games, publishers of Inferno and Inferno 1438. Go check them out soon on GameFound. All right, take care. So long. Bye-bye.